Small business is about courage, risk-taking, independence, and we small business owners are survivors. Everybody has an idea for a business, but how do you take that idea from mind to market? This is the place to learn.
Small Business School with Hattie Bryant.
It's a new kind of school. Together we'll learn about business from the inside out, from the people who've done it. We'll meet the men and women who are today's pioneers and quiet heroes. Their lives are the textbooks. Our classroom is the world.
Small Business School is made possible by support from IBM. We're not just for big business anymore. At our website, discover how technology can move your business forward. When it's your business, everything matters. IBM. And by Southwestern, providing learning solutions in business and economics. Southwestern is part of the Thomson Corporation. And the United States Postal Service, delivering the promise to America's 23 million small and growing businesses. We're where you live your life. We're where you run your business.
Hi, I'm Hattie Bryant. We're spreading the news, made in New York City. With hang tags like these, the Nicole Miller Fashion House on 7th Avenue is declaring to the world, we've made it here. Clothing can be purchased in the U.S. at many different places and at many different price points. Big retailers with big brands, Walmart, Neiman Marcus, Macy's, and Nordstrom dominate, but they do not create and deliver as many products and services as do small firms. And where much of what we purchase from big retailers is manufactured offshore, their high-end lines are often made by small companies right here in the USA. The fact is, there are over 24 million small and privately held companies, and only about 7,000 publicly traded ones. Surprise! The big guys are really the little guys. Now look at yourself. What are you wearing? Why? Clothes help to define us. They are an extension of our personality. This jacket was designed and made by one of the world's most famous fashion designers, Nicole Miller. With her partner, Bud Konheim, the two have been building a growing business since the early 80s. We'll take you now to Manhattan, and you'll learn how they move ideas from mind to market.
That dress should be $275. Right. Then that should be the same.
$275. I would settle for $275. It'll be a hot dress.
Bud Konheim and Nicole Miller started the Nicole Miller Company in 1982. Today, they have 165 employees working either at headquarters in New York City on 7th Avenue, in the warehouse, or in the retail stores. There are 30 Nicole Miller boutiques around the country, 15 owned by Nicole Miller and 15 owned by licensees. Neiman Marcus, Saks Fifth Avenue, Nordstrom, and other large retail operations also carry the line.
You ready? Yeah. My clothes look ageless. I've always been against clothes that make you look old. And I think a lot of times expensive clothes tend to make women look older and more mature. And I've always been against looking older than you are. And I don't think you should be, dressing like a teeny bopper either, because I think, women shouldn't dress so that they look foolish. But I think they should always, dress so they look youthful.
That is the business we're in. We are trying to make a product that makes somebody happy. If it doesn't make them happy, they're not buying it, you're out of business. So the whole thing is really delivering a feel-good. This is what it's all about. Now you get that feeling when you're dealing with a customer one-on-one and she's dealing with her customer who's in the store at the same time you are.
Maybe we should play around with that ruffle detail.
The company has grown by creating fashions they love, by developing their own sales channel, and by licensing Nicole's designs to 15 different firms who make handbags, travel accessories, socks, and more. Nearly half of today's $130 million in annual revenue comes from the licensing of designs by Nicole.
The price strategy has to be part of the fun. If a customer is going to pick up a tag and say, this is uncomfortable for me, it's just not fun. So it doesn't have to be cheap, but it's got to be something that she expects it to be. I mean, I think that's probably the key, where they come through a Nicole Miller awning knowing there's no designer price punishment. It's going to be fun clothes, they're going to wear it, they're going to have a great time, it's as well made as anything, it's certainly original design. We have runway shows just like everybody who charges 50 times the price, but it's got to work for her the way she expects it. She expects to pay a certain price in there, and if we break that barrier, it's uncomfortable, and she likely not to buy it. If you start out selling department stores, there's no feeling of anything. You're selling to maybe if there's a buyer there or a merchandiser or a controller, because you don't even have people selecting the merchandise anymore. You're selling into go to an office and you present the stuff, you don't know who the customer is. The buyer half the time has no idea who her customer is, because department stores deal in traffic, right, where a small store deals in trade. She knows her customer. She knows Alice, she knows Mary, she knows Sally, she knows Joan, and she buys for them, and that's a business. This ambiguous stuff, right, where you just buy stuff for somebody or the trade or the people, there's no focus to that and there's no meaning to it, and it's much more difficult than, and you're buying by some kind of computer profile. What Nicole Miller is today is absolutely flies in the face of everything. It is a young-looking line at better than young cheap prices, but it's not really very expensive, and it's also a little bit longer waisted. Yeah. And that's what we do. And when department stores, when they come in here, the big question was, who do you hang with? Because all our Missy stuff is still conservative, dumb, whatever, and all our trendy stuff is, they call it contemporary. They change the names all the time. They call it contemporary. It's all on this other thing. It's cheaper and it's flashier and it's not well made, but who cares? And I said, but this is what we do. This is what we do. We are in the middle of the whole thing, and we're not like anybody else, and we've been very successful doing that.
Every item carrying the Nicole Miller name starts with Nicole's sketch pad. She gives the sketch to one of the drapers, who then makes the creation out of muslin. Oscar, the pattern maker, uses the muslin pieces to make the pattern, then he cuts it out of the fabric chosen for the item. It is sewn here in this room in a size 8.
But that point is too sharp.
And several days a week, there are fitting meetings where Nicole and the team see the piece on a real person for the first time.
It goes up too high on the sides, right?
Costing is calculated by their production department based upon labor, fabric, and trim. The sales department decides the best price to be competitive, and the garment is scheduled for production. Up to this point, everything has been done by hand: sketching, draping, pattern making. At the factory, patterns are sized and created by computer.
Well, the first thing I do is I plan a color story for the season. And I just do that totally instinctively. And then I look for the fabrics, and I try to find new fabrics. And then I try to continue some fabrics that have been successful for me in the past. And then I start to just map out kind of a game plan. It's sort of like an outline of the direction that the season's going to go in. Mm-hmm. And then I'm always sort of, trying to find a concept, what the concept is, what the girl's going to be for the season. And, sometimes the inspiration comes like that. I'll just see something walking down the street and I'll go, that's it. And sometimes, some years, I can't find an inspiration, so I have to turn everything upside down.
According to the Fashion Center website, New York City's garment district is comprised of 34 million square feet extending from 5th to 9th Avenues and from 35th to 41st Streets. Over 100,000 people work in the garment district, and the Nicole Miller Company is proud to say their clothing is made from an idea to finished product in New York City.
Is this where we're going?
Production manager Kimberly Lee and Bud walk a few blocks to Style Trend, where their creations are in mass production.
Yarrow.
Kimberly speaks Cantonese and English. She is the right person at the right time for Nicole Miller. Over the years, sewing shops have been owned by immigrants, and today, many are owned by the newest wave from China. Special orders are priced right and shipped more quickly than if sewing was done offshore. Bud and Nicole are committed to keeping the sewing jobs in New York City.
We were in another business, okay, and Nicole and I was the managing director of that business, Nicole was the designer.
You were not the owners?
No. It was a conglomerate, actually. We won one division. We were very profitable. We were doing very well. And we decided to go out on our own. And we actually went out on our own with the blessing of the guy who was the head of the conglomerate, because he was a friend of mine, and it's great. I went to him and I said, you have 12 divisions here. I'm just one division of this thing. Nicole and I are going to go start our own business. He said, well, I kind of would expect you to. It was not a big surprise. He said, you have to take, but I said, but I'm not going to do anything to undermine you. So he said, look, I tell you what, if you would get me out of your inventory, and get me dollar for dollar of your inventory, I'll give you, not only give you my blessing, but I know you're going to Hong Kong to do some business. I will pay 3 weeks of the salaries of the place while you go to Hong Kong, and then you come back and you can flip your thing of take all the people you want, close the business, but you get me out clean. And that was the deal. And it was all up front, and he was a great guy for that.
So the company you were in actually helped nurture the launch of Nicole Miller. Why was it so successful from day one?
Well, day one was not exactly day one. Day one was a change of name as far as the customers went. What we did was we had, in the 3-week period that my employer was paying the salaries and wishing me well, we had our salespeople informing all of the customers that everything they had on order was going to be shipped as of June 1st, 1982. They were going to get their shipments on time, just the way they ordered them, but the name on the label was going to be Nicole Miller, and they were going to get an invoice from Nicole Miller, and they were going to pay Nicole Miller. And we're just switching the names, and it wasn't a peep. Everybody went along with it because what they wanted was the merchandise. It was fine. Our first month, we shipped $600,000. It will never be that profitable again because we had absolutely no startup costs. We had nothing. So it was lucky in a way, but we had prepared for the luck. It was, it's like we gave luck a chance to happen.
When you launched the ties, were you thinking that my women customers are going to grab a tie for their boyfriend, their husband, and that'll be an extra sale? I mean, was that the motivation?
No, actually, we just made them as like a joke, and we gave them away initially. We sort of just gave them to all our friends, and everybody started saying, oh my God, I got so many comments. And then we ran out, so we made like 100 more. And then we just hung them in the retail stores.
Right. So what was the joke turned out to be a new revenue stream?
Yeah, turned out to be a great business.
So is that a piece of inspiration? Any business owner, if you have a gut feeling you should do something, try it.
I think, sometimes like the best things that happen are flukes. Like you work really hard and sometimes you can, make your luck, but a lot of things are just flukes.
Having our own stores in Tacoma was a funny story. I was fighting the idea of a fashion show, runway show, forever. Nicole's argument was the department stores only get to see a few things. They only pick a few things, and my customers only get to see a few things that the department stores pick out of my line. Nobody gets to see the range of what I do. I need to have a runway show. My argument was a runway show is a waste of time. You'll be making things for editors that need to take a picture of a costume because they take a picture of normal clothes. Where's the news? Okay, those are things that are nice to wear, but there's not news there. They need to have some flamboyant thing. That's what they want the picture of, and we'll never sell it. We'll go out of business. Back and forth, we've argued this thing. So finally, Nicole said, okay, I want to show my whole collection. Let's open a boutique. I said, okay, opening a boutique, we had a chance of making money. In the boutique, it kind of makes sense. So, found a boutique on Madison Avenue. We opened a boutique, okay? Successful from day one. It's terrific, it was great.
Sherry Grossman started as an intern and worked her way up to director of licensing.
I think that the partnership between Bud and Nicole is very different than anything in any other company of this magnitude, and I think that definitely drives the business. I think the philosophy of opening our own stores as opposed to distributing heavily in department stores has also made a big difference. The way our distribution scheme is wholly different than any other designer. So we've gained a very big customer loyalty through that.
But a partnership is not meeting somebody 50-50. A partnership is meeting somebody 90 and let them meet you 10, but they won't. If they meet you 90, you've got a locking thing that's like this. Okay. It's great.
What happens when two people have a singular focus? The power of two is the root cause of success at Nicole Miller. The partnership started with clearly defined responsibilities. Nicole was to design the new, and Bud was to get it made. Now they both admit they could almost switch roles. The Nicole Miller Company wants to move us all up the clothing chain. You know, stop wearing Walmart and start wearing fashion. They want us to stop thinking clothes and start thinking style. They want us to attend to aesthetics. They are chipping away at their goal, working in harmony, and bringing to bear nearly 3 decades of experience. While most fail in this highly competitive and sometimes fickle industry, this pair and their extraordinary team persists, yes, even thrives, yet at the heart of it all, the power of 2 prevails. Just 1 block from the Pacific Ocean in La Jolla, California, on palm tree-lined Prospect Street, the New York home office team visits the shop owned by Stephanie Lyons. The tiny space is full of style, and most important, it is full of customers.
What do you think you're doing right?
It's the La Jolla customers that we have. La Jolla, Del Mar, Rancho Santa Fe, they're fabulous customers, and they are really with it as far as style goes. They understand Nicole. They like the whimsical, they like the funky, they like the classic too, and she really offers that for everybody.
Everybody just loves Stephanie, and they come in here to see her.
True.
And while they're here to see her, she talks them into all kinds of clothes. And but they must like them because they come back. Stephanie just does really well. She does great business here, and I want to support all my best stores.
Sure.
And so I'm always happy to come out here. They go, Stephanie wants you to come out? And I go, absolutely.
So, what do you think about the future?
I'm loving it. We just signed another 5-year lease here in La Jolla, the same spot. This is a perfect location for us. And it's just been great. Her collection gets stronger and stronger every year.
So America is built on selling each other a whole bunch of stuff that we don't actually need to live. We don't need it. But what are we doing? We're selling each other this stuff because it makes us feel good.
Fashion, it's tough. Dog eat dog, squeezing profits from seams. The business is unrelenting and unforgiving, but somehow Bud and Nicole have built a place where people want to work.
Everybody I have here now started as an intern. Yeah, I mean, I've taken a lot of people from Rhode Island School of Design, which was where I went. And I have 2 girls from there, and I have another girl from Parsons. Now I have so many interns passing through here that if somebody I think is really good, then maybe when they get out of school, I hire them. So let's get that one. Okay.
So when you see her sketches, you probably know what she's thinking.
I'm supposed to.
Do you have fun doing this? Is this fun for you?
Yeah, I love it. I love my work.
You're the person who says this works with this fabric or it doesn't.
Right.
Is it fun?
It is. I enjoy. For me, this is like my home. And my co-worker is like my family.
So everything else on this chart is pretty much done.
It is your life, and you're here working more than anything else that you do in your life.
Judy Scarpula is Senior Vice President of Sales.
My thing is always about opportunity. You know, I came here as like the 5th wheel in the sales department, and 15 years later, I'm Senior Vice President, and it's a new title that's never been given to anyone. This is on the silk knit, so we don't want to duplicate the idea with the Georgette. As far as Bud, you know, he's an amazing person to work for. He's better than a dad, and he's better than a husband. I don't know. Well, I usually go in and tell him the 10 things that I need him to do. So, and he says, oh, all right, I'll get to it. You need to put pressure on this person because they're not doing this. It's not always about money for people. It's, again, it's the freedom to do it, to have the opportunity to see it from A to Z.
They all sold, and we didn't have to close it out.
So it's a baseball story. If we have 9 players, and they're all good, and we like them all, we've been playing with them for a long time, and we're up against a team that has 8 good players and 1 great player, we lose. So we have to, and that's a serious consideration. So when we're looking at the people here, we have got to have the greatest people to win this game. We're up against a lot of big businesses. We are not a big business. We're up against a lot of big businesses, and everybody here doesn't have to do their job. They have to do more than their job.
Well, we will have this group.
And I did an organizational chart, but it's circular. It's not top to bottom.
Okay.
It's a circular chart because we learn from everybody in the business, and they contribute. And it's not that I'm the CEO and I say what I say goes. I don't do that. I don't tell it. I sell it. And if I can't sell it, then maybe it's not such a good idea, because if I believe that I have all the good ideas, I'm in big trouble. In '82, when we started, everything was a hand system. We were hand billing, and there was one time in the showroom when we were billing out $50,000 in one day, and everybody was sitting there writing hand bills to all of these customers. It was a nightmare. It was unbelievable. We never thought we'd get through the day. And I have my son is a computer genius, okay? And he says, you know, you don't have to hand write all of this stuff. You can get a computer to do it.
And what year
was
was
this?
this?
1982.
Bud has plowed money into systems since then and has run the numbers on an AS400 for years. And his philosophy of early technology adoption took him to the web ahead of competitors.
We're very big on the internet now. The internet is absolutely probably the best communication system that's come along, because we email each other here instead of getting on a phone and getting voicemail and all of that type of stuff. We send pictures to Japan of the fabrics that we digitally take now, send it out over the internet. The retailers call up a customer and say, well, you're at your desk, take a look at this dress, I'm sending you a picture of it. I've got your size in stock, I can send it to you. We have a shop on the internet where you just click on and buy the stuff. It's just, it's a great thing.
There's so many loose ends in a clothing company, because, you know, ideally everybody has a great idea and you make a nice dress. But then you have to get the fabric. Then the fabric might be late, the fabric might come in damaged, the fabric might shrink.
I get paid for taking an Excedrin at the end of the night, because if in this business after 46 years, if I don't go home with a headache because of all the problems that I've heard during the day, I go home with a bigger headache because I know the problems are there and I haven't heard about them. So you have to have the CEO has problems. That's what they're bringing to him. I always tell everybody, I want to hear all the bad news. The good news will take care of itself. Don't tell me the good news. I don't need to hear that. Give me the bad news, because that's what I'm here for.
You know, licensing is not as easy. Everybody thinks, you know, I'll get some licensed products and I'll make tons of money. It does cost us, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of work, and it takes a lot of nurturing to get these licensed products. I have to say about this business, and it only just gets harder. Because, well, I think, you know, when you start out a business, it's all so simple. You know, there's one person that does this, one person that does that, one person that does that. And then before you know it, there's like 100 people, and, you know, 5 of them are doing this, and you don't know what people are doing anymore. And you're saying, like, well, how did we manage when we just had one person in this position? And, you know, you'd like to go back to that and simplify everything. And you just feel like you've built all these layers. And then you're, you know, it's just, you know, the longer you're in business, the more problems that develop.
There was a time in 1988 when I said to my wife, if I get out of this, I'm some kind of hero. And you know what, I wasn't scared. I was excited about the idea that I could get out of the problem we had after the crash of '87. We got into really a whole bunch of stuff that was really bad. And we worked it out, and everybody was on board. I didn't keep a secret from everybody. Everybody knew what it was. We got down to 8 people. Everybody we would stay here at 8 or 9 o'clock at night to make a 4-dress sale to some boutique out in the hinterlands. It was unbelievable, and we pulled it off. And it was great. So those things keep you excited through thick and thin. It's almost more exciting when there's a challenge than when it's just rolling in. What people are always asking us is, you know, what's your vision? Where's the end game? You know, that's always, the end game is come to my funeral, you know, I mean, that's the end game. So anyhow, the end game is, if we can do it right today, it's going to dictate the end game. If we could just get it right today.
Partnerships are like marriages because they begin with good feelings, respect, and admiration. However, they are different because when the business succeeds, it is because the partners focused all of their energy on one thing, making the business work. It's strictly business. Emotions often have to be set aside, played down. For a business to grow and prosper over years means the partners have to hold on to good feelings, respect, and admiration. In the case of Nicole Miller, the power of two prevails.
Small Business School is made possible by support from IBM. We're not just for big business anymore. At our website, discover how technology can move your business forward. When it's your business, everything matters. IBM. And by Southwestern, providing learning solutions in business and economics. Southwestern is part of the Thomson Corporation. And the United States Postal Service, delivering the promise to America's 23 million small and growing businesses. We're where you live your life. We're where you run your business.
If you want to learn more about starting, running, and growing a business, come to our website, smallbusinessschool.org. There's streaming video and interactive study guides.
The only way we can compete with big business is to be faster, smarter, and better. We are the engine of the American economy. We create the jobs. Small business is about big commitment. It's about sacrifice and struggle. But we do it because we say, if I don't do this, my life won't be complete.